Hi everyone! Welcome back to Ever Growing. This is a show where we talk about inner growth for leaders. If you don't know me already, my name is Sabrina and I am the CEO and executive coach at Evergrowth Coaching. I work with leading tech companies from 50 people to hundreds of people, from pre-seed to unicorn stages. And I want to bring what I think is most important in terms of inner growth and development to this show to make it accessible to everyone. So today I want to talk a little bit about why are founders in tech going to retreats and meditating, and what is this phenomenon that we've seen in a few years and has been recently increasing to look for this peace, this spirituality, and this oasis during their busy days. Well, if you've been around tech, I think there has been this steady trend of people talking about meditation. So from some of my own clients, they talk about how it's really, really important for them to meditate every day. Now, the meditation have a lot of different ranges. Some people have gone to silent meditation retreats. Some people have read a few books and picked up meditation. So the interests there are very varied, and they might be using an app like Headspace, Calm, Waking Up, or they might just set a timer and sit there. So in addition to these meditation practices, I think I also see a lot of people participating in retreats. Now, these are places that they go and spend a week, a few days there. And it could be either a silent meditation retreat or other types of retreats with new technologies, new medicine, plant medicine retreats, and so on. What do we know about all of this? And I think that's something I talk a lot with my friends, which is I think that we're seeing supply and a demand situation. There's increased supply of it because there's an increased demand for finding oneself during a world and a life of an entrepreneur, right? And why is that happening? Why is there such a demand for something like that? If you catch another episode of this season, I talk about context switching. A lot of founders and a lot of leaders will come to coaching sessions and say, hey, context switching all the time. I can't do this anymore. I'm not present at the dinner table, or I have so much fear and uncertainty that my brain is just spinning in all the worst case scenarios, that when my loved one or my coworker is talking to me, I can't stay present. So they're looking for something to ground them, to give them a new perspective. And I'm going to share some of my 2 cents. Well, the world is moving too quickly for our brain and our body and our emotions and our energy to catch up, especially in the life of an entrepreneur. From morning to night, you have people continuously asking something of you. They're asking questions. They need you to approve a decision. And on top of all of that, you are supposed to drive the ship. You're supposed to look at long-term strategic direction. You're supposed to be thinking about the next fundraise or the next exit opportunity or the next big hire. So you're always having to balance all of these different contexts. And again, if you're curious about that, I talk about the 4 different types of context switching burnout and different tactics to overcome them in one of the episodes of the season. So that is why there's such a demand. But I can't help but think why this is a life of an entrepreneur and if there are other ways to go about it. I don't really know the answer of this, but I see in some of my clients who are bootstrap founders, they have a lot more ability to set their own goals and to set their own pace. And of course, there's the group of lifestyle entrepreneurs, and then there's the group of solo entrepreneur like me, where my day-to-day and how fast I go and how I do things is completely different. So there are a lot of different ways to do these things, and especially when it comes in tech, there is a certain expectation to grow your company. There is a certain expectation to make certain decisions. For example, hiring like a head of sales who's been at certain experiences is a good sign for your company. There's a lot of optics to maintain. And I think all of that creates pressure for the CEO or for the executive or for the leader, because there's simply too many things for you to keep an eye on and too little time. So, I mean, it's doable though. People do it. It's not the end of the world, but I think that from looking at these needs to meditate and go on retreats, we can then go back to the day to day and talk about what are some changes we can make on a daily basis so that you can have these rituals, you can have these habits, but overall things get to improve. If we were to first principle how to be an entrepreneur in today's day and age, what would we change, right? So today's conversation is about that. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about what is meditation and what are these retreats and why people go on them. So speaking of meditation, depending on the style that you go into, is taking the time to just be in the present moment. When we're working, a lot of times we're not in the present moment. We're so focused on the project, we're focused on the future, we're focused on something that happened. We are really, really using our mind. And during meditation, it is an opportunity for us to sync up our mind with our body. So that could provide a lot of benefits of feeling a little bit calmer or feeling a bit more grounded over time. The biggest pushback that I hear from people, and they often tell me this with embarrassment or shame, and they say, well, I can't stop my mind from thinking. It's not really working for me. Well, all I have to say is there's nothing to be embarrassed about because that is a very normal experience. You will think a lot. You will not be able to calm your mind. The idea is not to not think, but the idea is to be with whatever your state of mind, the state of your emotion is at the moment. We as humans have evolved to not be with our feelings and not be with ourselves. We know and we get to a lot of things to numb ourselves, like watching TV, getting busy, and then there are all types of substances that we can choose to distract us from the actual lived experience. But meditation overall provides an experience of being with what is. The Buddhism perspective is life is full of suffering. If you come into acceptance that life is full of suffering and you're okay with suffering and you're okay with the up and that you're okay with the down, and you come at life with a neutral perspective, then you'll be able to have a lot more ease. So I think meditation is trying to promote that, and it has benefited many, many, many people. However, I will say that there has been some research that I've read that says meditation isn't for everyone. In this book called Widen the Window, there is a lot of research being done with people who have PTSD from the army, so like soldiers who have PTSD, and there's some data suggesting that meditation can actually be triggering. And there are a few reasons where it can be triggering. Number one, if you are already in an activated state and there are thoughts that are out of your control, looking at those thoughts could trigger you even more. So it's actually serving a more negative outcome. I think that the golden window for meditation is when looking at those thoughts are not going to trigger you a lot and they're just like normal everyday thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts and feelings ramp up and it doesn't serve everyone just to be in it and not be able to get out. That creates a suffocating, stuck type of feeling. Now, I've also heard another perspective, and these are from yoga teachers and from teachers who are trained in trauma-based meditation. And they say that sometimes people just tuning into their bodies and noticing their breathing seems to be triggering because of something that might have happened with breathing or something might have happened with their body. So it can be a sensitive thing. All I'm saying is know that there is a lot of literature on meditation, but it may not be for everyone, and different styles of meditation may not be for everyone. I have a slightly different perspective about this, and that was not a popular perspective when I was going through meditation teacher training, I will say. So if you learn it the Buddhist way, or if you learn it from a deep lineage, they will say, do the same type of meditation every day for the rest of your life, because that's how you learn about your mind, and that's how you learn about your body, and that's how you learn about the practice, which makes total sense to me. I completely get it. But after taking that information in and understanding myself, I realized what benefits me is to have the agency of being able to choose what works for me in the moment. There have been periods of my life where meditation is a great ally, and then there are times when I need to find mindfulness in movement, and I need to find mindfulness in yoga, and I need to find a different style of meditation. So my practice is not necessarily meditation. My practice is in tuning in with myself and finding presence in whatever way it needs to be found with different modalities. So I want to put that perspective out there because it's worked for me. And I think there's a lot of shame in meditation culture, and shame really only adds pressure and discourages you from doing the thing that you need. If you needed this perspective, if it works for you, please feel free to borrow it and try it on. So that's about meditation. Let's talk a little bit about these retreats. And there are a lot of different types of retreats. Let's call it a big category where you have to physically travel somewhere, not work, and go through a series of transformational experience, and you come back different. And why are these things so popular? Well, we already talked about the context switching. It's probably hard for a CEO or a leader or an executive to do something in their day-to-day, and it's really important to take time away and look at your life from a high-level perspective. Am I doing the things that I want? What is really going on with my life? Am I putting time and energy in the places that I deserve? Did I give myself enough attention? And can I give myself attention right now without people's expectations, without thinking about other people's agenda and what they want from me, or my agenda, right? All of that noise can go away when you go on the retreat. And the reason why retreats are so powerful, and no matter if you're planning one or thinking about one, the most important thing is your intention. Now, I just heard a great metaphor of describing what an intention is from my friend and an awesome coach, Eddie Nguyen. And he said intention is almost like saying, hey, me and my friends are going on a road trip to New York. We're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to be together the whole time, but we don't know exactly where we're going to stop and how we're going to get there, but we're just going to have a lot of fun and then we're going to get to New York. So intention is something like this. It is a strong desire. It can be a goal. Company goals are intentions as well, that you will use to organize your insights, your activities, your days, so that it's more likely that you achieve that intention. Before getting to a retreat, it is very important that you have this intention to think about what you would like to work on and what is this time for. It can be very complicated. It can be something like, I want to improve my relationships, I want to improve my work, and I want to think about this business idea. Sometimes people have very simple intentions like, I just want to relax, I just want to get in touch with me, or I just want to be open. And then at the end of the retreat, it's often a good idea to have periods of integration. Now, having been to a few of these experiences myself, in the beginning, I was wanting to integrate right away, of making sense of everything and intellectualizing it, journaling about it, writing about it. But I just want you to know, if you're going on something like this, that oftentimes the best way to integrate is to let yourself feel. And it might be feeling your body, it might be feeling your emotions, and not really trying to put words to it. Sometimes when we put words to something that is bigger than words, we restrict what it's going to be in our life, and we give it an arbitrary meaning when it could be something else or it could be something bigger. So take your time integrating and take your time seeing how it can be implemented back into your life. Now, speaking of implementation, going on these retreats are just glorified vacations if you're not implementing the insights that you got through these retreats. So I would highly recommend going to experiences where they have integration support, or you have an individual therapist, coach, friend, guide who you can get to integrate these experiences with you. So now, taking a step back, I've talked about intention, I've talked about integration, and I've talked about implementation. You can really see that a retreat, it's almost like a life chiropractic type of thing you can go to. You go there, you get adjusted, you come back, hopefully adjustment stays. And by going into something like this, and I think it's really, really important that we all have the experience of doing something like this, we get to look at our lives in a different way. The older we get, the easier it is for us to fall into our habits and fall into our subconscious limiting beliefs. This means that we create life out of our fears and out of our old selves, and we don't create the life that we can possibly achieve with our best selves. Now, these retreats help us determine what we can let go and what we can move forward to. You don't really have to go to a group plan thing to achieve this result. If you don't have the time, or if you don't have the right place to go to, it could be a solo Airbnb journey in the woods, having a very clear intention and some lightly structured activities to be with yourself. It could be, if you didn't have time, just taking one Sunday out to craft a really beautiful experience for yourself that make you feel connected to who you are and help you do some journaling, do some reflection. So retreats don't have to be large in size. They don't have to be complicated in size. It really just has to have an intention, a set time away that's, it's crafted for you, and an integration and implementation period. In corporate world, we actually use this model to look at company retreats, to look at leadership offsites, to create something like this. And if you're creating this for your company, you really deserve to create it for yourself too, because the quality of your mind, the quality of your beliefs, and the quality of your health, all of that plays into the quality of the success that all of your teams are going to be able to get, because you're part of the team. Now, I want to suggest an even more provocative idea. What if your everyday can be a retreat? What would happen if we treat life in a way where we have a clear intention every day, or we have a clear intention every meeting, every interaction, and it can be the same intention, by the way. For example, my general intention for every day is to be like myself and stay grounded like myself no matter what happens. So it's a very general intention, but it reminds me that I want to be authentic, I want to know my values, and I want to prioritize me during moments that are perhaps difficult. If we were to live our lives like a retreat every day, that we get to go into our lives, we get to be grateful of the things that happen, we also get to be open and see what might come up that will serve as either learnings for our intention or ways to bring us closer to our goal or an intention, what would it be like? And I think for me, the way that I interpret it at this given time is to, one, have that clear intention, but also to have certain rituals or habits that I do every single day that kind of remind me that I'm not just going with the flow. So I wake up, typically need ideally 3 hours before I start work. After I wake up, at minimum 90 minutes, and I sometimes it's 90 minutes, 3 hours depending on the day. I wake up, I do my, right now I do an embodiment type of meditation. I think about my intention, I ground, I spend a lot of time with my body and my energy and my emotion. And I move my body, and I do a yoga or a workout, I do some journaling. And something that I hold dear to my heart is the practice of morning pages. And this came from the book Artist's Way. So if you want clarity on your life, and it doesn't have to be a creative project. I know the book is written for an artist trying to create a project, but I think we are all artists and we are crafting our lives. So the idea of morning pages is you go to write before you have your look at your phone, before you look at work, and you just write for 3 pages nonstop, and it's supposed to get you to your truth, and your subconscious mind kind of come up through the pages. And this practice I've been doing for 4 or 5 years on and off, and it's helped me decide to leave product management, go into coaching, decide to start my company. I write about all of my major life decisions, how I feel, how today sucks, how today is very exciting. I write about everything in there, and it's a great tool for me. So I do all of those things, and I must get some sunlight before I start work, and I do my work. And how I break up my days is through breaks like walking, or just a few moments to do a body scan, check in with my body, see if I need a snack or water, or change what I'm doing. And all of these things help me a lot in feeling like every day is full of possibilities and I get to have agency and I'm not just reactive. So I hope that's interesting, and I hope that helped. And overall, I wanted to talk about the act of meditation, the act of going to retreats, and how we can create a bit more peace and calm and groundedness in our everyday. Thank you for tuning in today.